Join us on a refreshing RV camping adventure at Observatory Campground. We'll have some great eats, enjoy a hike through the forest, and take in some panoramic vistas. And we'll top it all off with a visit to the famed Palomar Observatory. Here we go, heading up to Palomar Mountain in the northeast section of San Diego County. Although we live less than 50 miles from the campground, we've never stayed there, so it's time to remedy that. This trip is also serving a second purpose as well. We're getting ready for an 11-week trip up to Alaska, and I've done some suspension modifications and maintenance, so this will be a bit of a break-in trip as well. In addition to the CRE 3000 and wet bolts I'd previously installed, I'm adding MORryde X-Factor cross members to hopefully stiffen up the spring hangers a bit. And I've also installed new brakes as the old ones were getting a bit thin. Palomar sits at an elevation of over 5,000 feet, and the plantscape changes significantly as you gain elevation. While the drive up is a bit windy, it's doable by any rig. If you don't like mountain roads, however, this may not be for you. There's a nice overlook of Lake Henshaw as you drive up. It's a lot fuller than the last time we saw it. While a bit narrow, the road is pretty smooth. Close to the campground is a little store. We didn't stop to check it out, but they probably have the essentials. As we approach the campground, the trees become noticeably taller and more dense. And the turn into the campground feels pretty tight. Hopefully we're not heading into a problem. This campground, located close to the famous Palomar Telescope, has several sites with built-in telescope piers for those that want to join in. We got a double site because I didn't want to stress with parking, and it's a good thing we did, though we would have fit in a few of the single sites we passed. The site was nice and spacious, with good exposure for solar and Starlink. Well, it's dinner time, and tonight we're doing something a bit different, for us at least. Can you guess what this is going to be? We marinated shrimp and scallops earlier, so it will be flavorful and juicy. Skewers are easy to prepare and fun to eat, and they don't make much of a mess either. You get all your meats and veggies in one easy-to-manage package. I don't know why we don't do this more often. While they do provide a perfectly serviceable charcoal grill at the campsite, we find it quickest and easiest to just use our 25-year-old Coleman stove grill combo. I don't think this thing will ever break. Featuring a nice wine from Turtle Rock Ridge, our meal tonight is perfect. With our bellies satisfied and the temperature dropping, let's take a stroll around the campground. Earlier, I mentioned that there were telescope pads at some of the campsites, and as it turns out, these were part of an Eagle Scout project. This campground has a mixture of shade and open camp spots, so consider this as you book. We'll link our 360-degree virtual tour of the campground in the description, and that may help you pick the best site for your needs. The fees are quite reasonable for this region. Well, we're going to call it a night. We have a hike planned for tomorrow. It's a wonderful morning, and we're going to go for a little hike today. There's a trail leading up to the observatory, appropriately named Observatory Trail. Oddly enough, though, the trailhead is not marked, so we need to do a bit of searching for it. We were warned by the friendly camp hosts, Melissa and Anthony, that the trail was a bit overgrown, so we will have to see how bad it is. So far, it looks just fine. The trail is a 4.5 mile up and back and has an altitude gain of about 900 feet. Thus far, there's been nice tree cover, and the shade is welcome as the day warms up. Now we start to get a little hint of overgrown, though this is perfectly manageable at this point. It's kind of crazy to think that just 50 miles from the beaches of San Diego, you find this mountainous landscape, such a nice change in scenery. I should mention at this time of year, there's a fair number of bugs buzzing around. As we progress further, the vegetation definitely continues encroaching in on the trail. If this continues, we may not pursue the observatory. There's a nice little platform ahead on the right. Let's check that out. It provides a beautiful vista overlooking some lakes, and it's super handy for something else too. We're not sure what that meadow area is called, nor what those lakes or pond names might be, but it does make for some really pretty scenery. This is definitely a hike worth doing, even if just to this platform. If you know about this area, do us a favor and tell us about it in the comments. Here we can just glimpse the telescope from the observatory. As the trail started getting pretty overgrown as we approached the platform, and looks to be getting worse further up, we're going to turn around at this point and head back to camp. If you're really into the hike, it would probably not deter you, but we're not really equipped for a real bushwhacking adventure. Someone will surely come up here and clean out the trail. There is day use parking at the trailhead located in the campground. Check requirements for day use if planning to visit. The trail was a bit rough in the upper region, but there is another way to visit the observatory. You can drive right to it. We got slowed down a bit by construction, but only a few minutes, and we arrived to an almost empty parking lot. From here, it's a short walk to the Observatory Telescope. They have a driveway that offers closer access for individuals with disabilities. There's a visitor center quite close to where you park, and it's worth stopping in there for some of the exhibits they display. You can learn a lot about the observatory, and they also have some souvenirs and other fun items you can purchase. As we continue on to the telescope, we're surprised by a deer running across the trail in front of us. The observatory closes relatively early, so plan accordingly if you intend to visit. As we approach the Hale Telescope, its sheer size and architectural grandeur are truly remarkable. Stepping inside the observatory is like stepping back in time, into a world that feels like it inspired the 1950s vision of the future. The Art Deco details, the gleaming metalwork, and the massive dials and gauges all feel so nostalgic yet futuristic at the same time. This incredible instrument, the Hale Telescope, has a fascinating history. It was the brainchild of astronomer George Ellery Hale, who envisioned a telescope that could peer deeper into the cosmos than ever before. The project was ambitious and faced numerous challenges, including the Great Depression and World War II. But through perseverance and ingenuity, the telescope was completed in 1948. Since then, the Hale Telescope has been at the forefront of astronomical discovery, revolutionizing our understanding of the universe. We could spend hours here gazing upon the wondrous instruments and exhibits, but alas, we must return to camp for now. Palomar has been surprisingly good for us, much more than just a shakedown trip. We will be back. And we hope you have enjoyed this as much as we have. If so, we would very much appreciate it if you would give this video a like and subscribe to our channel. That helps us to continue creating content like this. Thanks for watching, and see you in Alaska.